My daughter-in-law announced a family-only maternity shoot, then told me I wasn't family. Never mind, I held the account that paid for every frame. She tried to control the guest list. I controlled the only spot that mattered, the name on the contract, the billing account that unlocks the license. You're watching Revenge Files. Subscribe for a new twist daily. I live in Clintonville, a quiet neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio where porches still matter and neighbors still wave. I'm 58, a school librarian who keeps receipts the way fishermen keep lures, organized, labeled, and sharp. My son Ethan is 29 and kind to a fault. He married Madison last spring, a lifestyle micro-influencer who calls every errand content and thinks boundaries means whatever helps her brand that week. The baby was due in late July. In February, when we were all still soft with hope, I bought them the heirloom duo at Birch and Brick Studio in the Short North District. 1 maternity session and 1 newborn session. The total was $1,295 after tax. I put it on my card and signed as the client so I could handle logistics and not burden them. The gift card went in a little white box with a green ribbon. They hugged me. Ethan teared up. Madison said, "This is perfect, Linda. The light there is insane." Except, on May 2, she texted our family thread. Maternity shoot locked for May 18, family only. My mom, my sister, and Ethan. Studio says limited capacity. We'll do separate grandparent pics later. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Family only, and somehow I wasn't family. The studio's seamless backdrop could easily fit 5. I knew because I had looked at the room dimensions when I booked it. I didn't argue in the thread. I just opened my email and found the contract. Birch and Brick Studio, client, Linda Rowe. Subjects, Madison Hart Rowe and Ethan Rowe. Personal use license only. Commercial use requires a separate paid upgrade. Cancellations and rescheduling by the client only. The client was me. My name sat in the only spot that mattered. One problem: if I pushed, Ethan would be in the middle again. He hates conflict more than morning traffic on High Street. I needed leverage, not a fight. I printed the contract, highlighted Clause 3C. Images licensed for personal, non-commercial use only unless a commercial license is purchased by client prior to publication, and slid it into a plastic sleeve. I showed up early on May 18 and waited in the lobby with a tote of bottled water and safety pins. When Madison arrived in a ivory slip dress and a cardigan draped like clouds, she caught sight of me and froze. We, thought it was family only. Her mom, Denise, looked at the check-in tablet like a bouncer sizing a fake ID. I'm the client on the booking, I said, evenly. I'm here to pay for whatever you pick and to keep the day smooth. That's all. I took the tote to the couch and sat. Kendra, the photographer, was already unrolling a sand-colored seamless and warming up a big softbox. She spotted me, smiled, and whispered, "Thanks again for the gift, Linda." Madison handled it. She is very good at public grace. We're good, she told Kendra. Just a tight group. I didn't force myself into the frame. I watched Ethan adjust the sash on her cardigan. I handed a safety pin when a strap slipped. I asked Kendra about the timing for newborn photos so I could block my calendar to help with meals later. The session ran 2 hours. The images on the back of Kendra's camera looked like buttered sunlight. But then, 2 weeks later, I opened Instagram and saw one of those images. Madison sitting on a white cube, hands on belly, Ethan's chin resting on her shoulder, overlaid with discount code text for a maternity pillow brand. Paid partnership sat in the caption like a neat stamp. She had used Kendra's image as an ad. My stomach dropped. I checked the studio portal. No commercial upgrade purchased. No note. The contract was clear, personal use only, unless the client, me, paid for a commercial license in advance. I needed to verify first. I emailed Kendra. "Hi Kendra, congratulations on the beautiful gallery. Has any commercial license been issued on our account?" She replied 5 minutes later, "Hi Linda, no commercial license has been purchased. Thanks for checking." I breathed out, calm and slow, the way we teach kindergartners before the fire drill. Then I drafted a short, careful email to Madison and Ethan. I attached a PDF of the contract with Clause 3C highlighted. I included a screenshot of the Instagram post with the timestamp. I said, "As the client, I have to protect the contract we signed. Please remove the ad post within 10 calendar days or purchase the commercial license through the studio. As of today, the license fee is $1,500. If you need me to handle it, I can, but you would need to reimburse me. Please reply by June 14. I sent it certified mail as well. USPS tracking ending in 6943. Receipts matter. Until, Madison replied in the family thread instead of the email. This feels punitive. It's literally a pillow code. Everyone does this. Mom says it's fine. Then she blocked me on Instagram. Ethan texted me separately, Mom, she's stressed, can we talk tomorrow? Which meant he was already trying to juggle a grenade with bare hands. I didn't argue. I counted 10 days. On day 11, the post was still up, and a second post for a baby monitor had joined it. Same image, new caption, fresh code. I opened Instagram's copyright infringement form and filled it out line by line, attaching the contract and a screenshot of Kendra's invoice. I sent a parallel DMCA notice to the brand email listed in her caption. I copied Kendra on both. I kept my tone clinical, unauthorized commercial use by non-licensee. Client did not purchase commercial rights. Then I waited. Except, Instagram removed the posts on June 22nd, but the damage had already fed the algorithm. The Maternity pillow brand's agency emailed me on June 24th. We were notified of a takedown tied to content for our client. We need to confirm licensing. We've already paid a $2,800 flat fee for 3 posts. Who can we speak to at Birch and Brick? The fee sat in black and white. It clarified the stakes. I forwarded the email to Kendra and replied with one line, licensing must run through the client account per contract. That was me, my name, my rules. Madison called that evening, not texting, voice tight. You nuked my posts. I enforced the contract I paid for, I said. You can still buy the license. It's a scam, Linda. Her voice rose. Everyone uses their maternity photos. It's my body. I agree it's your body, I said. That's why it mattered to me to pay for a studio that treats you with dignity. But I signed. I'm the client. And the license is about the image files, not your body. If money is the issue, say so. We'll figure it out. She hung up. One problem, the baby was still due in late July, and the newborn session was part of my gift. I didn't want to blow up the one thing that should have been simple. So I made a narrow choice. I drafted a second letter, this one gentler, offering a cure. Remove the ads and we can keep the newborn session as planned. If you want to run any brand content using studio images, pay the license first. I'll schedule the newborn. Shoot and bring food that day. No cameras from me, no drama. I mailed it the next morning. But then, on June 28th, the studio emailed me, Hi Linda, we got a request to change the client on your account to Madison Rowe. We don't change client names mid-contract, but we wanted you to be aware. I stared at the screen and felt heat under my sternum. It wasn't subtle. Madison was trying to move into the only spot that mattered, my spot on the contract. I called Kendra. Leave the account as is, I said. Please schedule the newborn session for July 31. I'll confirm. You got it, she said. Also, my owner asked me to flag something. We found 2 more posts with our images on TikTok sponsored by a baby bottle company. We'll send a consolidated invoice for the license, $1,500, and a $500 late fee if not paid by July 5 per our policy. As client, you can forward it or handle it. I'll forward it, I said. I forwarded it to Madison and Ethan with a simple subject line, commercial license invoice, due July 5. I attached a 1-page addendum of my own, drafted over lunch on the reference desk. It wasn't a legal treatise. It was a small claims-ready timeline, dates, screenshots, USPS tracking, and a clear demand. Pay the license fee by July 5 or I will seek relief in Franklin County Small Claims Court and file additional infringement notices. I gave a clean number. I stuck to it. Until July 5 came and went. No payment. On July 8, I filed the small claims complaint downtown. The clerk stamped the form, took my $95 filing fee and told me they'd serve notice by certified mail. I walked back to my car and sat with the steering wheel pressed to my forehead. I didn't want to be that mother. I didn't want court. But I had been pushed twice, first out of family only, then out of my own contract. On July 12, Instagram removed another post. TikTok followed. The brand agency sent a short message, we're freezing the next payment until the licensing is clear. Money gets attention where words do not. The baby arrived early on July 29th at Riverside Methodist. 7 pounds, wide eyes, a tuft of dark hair. They named him Oliver. In the hospital photo Ethan texted me, the room lights blenched everything to a grayish cream. Madison looked tired and fierce. I packed a lasagna and a bag of diapers and waited for an invitation that didn't come. I dropped the food on their porch with a note and walked back to my car, the July air dense as soup. But then, on August 1st, 2 days after Oliver came home, Madison emailed me. Not a text. An email with a subject line like a détente flag about the newborn session. The body was brisk. We'll need you not to attend. It triggers me. Please transfer the appointment to my mom. She copied Kendra. The word triggers sat there like a rubber stamp on a passport. I closed my laptop and folded my hands until my fingers stopped shaking. I replied one sentence. As the client, I will attend to pay, and to ensure the license is respected, I will not force myself into any photographs. I CC'd Kendra. Then I made a pot of coffee and cut a square of the lasagna I had left on their porch. Revenge can look like rage. It can also look like steady hands. The hearing date arrived in the mail the next morning, August 14 at 9:30 a.m., Franklin County Municipal Court, Courtroom 11B, 12 days. Enough time for a mid-roll complication if life were a video. Except, it was. On August 5th, I got an email from the Pillow Brands agency. We need a clean license by August 10, or we claw back $1,200 of the fee per our contract with Madison. Please advise. The number wasn't mine to defend or attack, but it added pressure on the one person who kept pretending pressure didn't apply. I sent Madison, and only Madison, a final offer. Settle before court. Reimburse the $1,295 I paid for the package. Pay the $1,500 commercial license, and I will dismiss the claim. I'll still attend the newborn session to pay the balance due and then step out. You keep the ad dollars you've already received. Deadline, August 9th, 5 p.m. At 4:52 p.m. on August 9th, she replied. We can pay $1,500 in 2 installments. I will not reimburse the gift. That's manipulative. She CC'd Ethan and her mother. I didn't respond. Sometimes silence is the only professional tone left. Until August 14th, I walked into courtroom 11B with a slim binder. Ethan wasn't there. Madison and her mother were. The magistrate was a woman in her 40s with a firm voice that carried even when she whispered. She had my complaint in front of her, Madison's one-paragraph response, my body, my photos, and the stack of exhibits I'd labeled A through H, contract, invoice, screenshots, takedown notices, brand email, and proof of certified mail. The magistrate asked me to explain. I kept it spare. I'm the client on the contract. I bought the session. The contract says personal use only unless the client purchases a commercial license. The images were used for paid posts without a license. I asked them to remove or license within a 10-day window. They did neither. I'm asking the court to order payment of the license fee, $1,500, and reimbursement of my filing fee, $95, and to grant a finding that further commercial use requires the license to be paid through the client account. Madison spoke with heat and speed. This is punitive. This is about control. It's my pregnancy. Linda excluded herself by being difficult. She waved a sheaf of printouts of Instagram comments that said things like gorgeous mama and queen. None of them were contracts. The magistrate leaned forward. Mrs. Rowe, the question here is not who was kind, it's whether these images were used commercially without a license from the party with the right to issue one. Did you purchase a commercial license from the studio before using the images in paid posts? Madison hesitated. Her mother began to answer for her. The magistrate held up a finger. I need the answer from the defendant. No, Madison said finally. But that shouldn't matter. It's our baby. It matters, the magistrate said. Copyright law is not sentimental. The studio owns the copyright. The client controls licensing under this contract. You use the images for paid posts without a license. That's a breach. She reviewed the exhibits quietly for a full minute that felt like 5. Then she spoke into the mic. Judgment for the plaintiff on the license claim. The court orders the defendant to pay $1,500 to the plaintiff within 30 days and $95 in costs. The court further orders that any future paid use of these images requires a commercial license purchased by the client prior to posting. If the defendant fails to comply, the plaintiff may seek additional remedies. She stamped the form. The sound echoed like a gavel. It wasn't a windfall, it was a line in ink. But then, while we waited for copies, Madison turned to me and said, almost conversationally, you know I can just use iPhone shots now. I don't need your studio. I nodded. That would be best, I said. Use your own work for your ads. No one can argue with that. The newborn session took place 2 days later. I arrived with my checkbook and a grocery bag of muffins. Madison was brittle but civil. Kendra placed Oliver on a cream blanket and turned the soft box to a glow that made his eyelashes visible. We'll work fast, she said. Babies vote with their lungs. We all laughed, briefly human and not legal. I stayed out of the frames. I stood behind the camera and watched my son's hands cradle his son's head. When Kendra needed a third pair of hands to hold a reflector, I held it. when she asked who would be the legacy print for the studio's wall, a tradition where a single framed image from each newborn client hangs in the hall for a year. I looked at Madison. This is the only spot that mattered today, I thought. The studio's wall would outlast 1,000 posts. It would be what strangers saw when they walked in from the street. Pick whatever you want, I said to her. It's your choice. She chose a black and white of Ethan kissing Oliver's forehead. Kendra wrote it down. I paid the remaining balance with a check for $245 and left the muffins on the kitchen counter on my way out. Except, the brand agency followed through. On August 21st, they clawed back $1,200 from Madison because the campaign needed a relaunch and they couldn't use the taken-down content. It wasn't my business, but I heard from Ethan later, halting and ashamed. We're adjusting, he said. We'll be fine. I told him I believed him. I meant it. The $1,595 judgment hit my mailbox on August 25, with instructions to wait 30 days. On September 12, a cashier's check arrived, $1,595 exactly. No note. The envelope had Madison's neat script, L row across the front, and nothing more. I deposited it and filed the stamped satisfaction of judgment with the clerk. Paper in, paper out. Leverage used, not flaunted. One problem remained, and it wasn't legal. We were a family with a ridgeline now. Air rises on one side and falls on the other. I braced for a winter of silence. But then, Ethan stopped by on a Sunday with Oliver in a car seat and a lanky diaper bag. He set the car seat on my dining room table and said, "We have a rule now. If something might trigger a contract, we call you first. If something might trigger a feeling, we talk to a therapist first. I'm trying to be a husband and a son. I need help doing both." I poured coffee into 2 mugs, slid a plate of cinnamon toast between us, and watched Oliver dream under a knit hat. I won't weaponize what I know, I said. And I won't pretend I don't know it either. We clinked mugs like a treaty. A week later, a photo went up on my refrigerator, Ethan holding Oliver in the park. Madison had texted it to me herself. No studio, her caption read. No brand, just a good day. A truce can be quiet. It can be a small, careful bridge you cross with a baby strapped to your chest. I still keep the binder in the hall closet. It isn't for Madison, it's a reminder to myself that paper matters when feelings wobble. The only spot that mattered wasn't a place in a photograph. It was the line where I signed my name, set a boundary, and kept it.